Hello guys, welcome back to EduTap. I hope you're doing good and preparing well for your exams. I welcome you back to the basic concept series of management. Yesterday we quickly learnt about the what are basics of general management. Today we'll be continuing with this series, and today we'll be particularly learning about the scientific theory which comes under the classical theory of management. So without delaying further, let's begin the session, and do stay out for the next 10 to 15 minutes if you want to end to end understand what is exactly scientific theory of management. So before beginning the session, I have a very good news for you that we at EduTap are providing a comprehensive guidebook for RBI Grade B and SEBI Grade A as well, which would answer all your common queries in a most, prompt and a definitive manner. You will be able to understand the pattern of the exams, the cutoffs which were prevailing, the proper resources which you have to follow, and not just that, the salaries, perks which you would receive once you join the organization, everything. All these queries look very common in nature, which are quite repetitive as well, but there is no single platform which would provide all the answers for these queries. So we are helping you by so that you can save a lot of your time and directly move towards your preparation. And this guidebook, which is just of 30 pages, is absolutely free of cost, and it is a must for you to download. The link of the same is given in the description given below, so do download and read it completely and start your preparation today itself. Now, if you are new to our YouTube channel, please press the bell icon to receive the latest updates on various regulatory body exams. And in order to receive the PDFs of all the sessions which are taking place in YouTube, do join our Telegram channel, and the link of the Telegram channel is given in the description section below. Now, let us begin today's session. So, yesterday we ended in this slide wherein we saw what is classical theory of management. And in classical theory of management, we could classify it into three parts: scientific theory, administrative theory, and bureaucracy theory of classical management. And today, as I said, you will be specifically talking about the scientific management theory. So, let us understand in and out what is scientific management theory. Now, keep in mind that scientific management theory, who is known as the father of scientific management theory? Taylor is known as the father of scientific management theory, but that is why this theory is also known as Taylorism. Okay? But even though Taylor is known as the father of scientific management of theory, but Taylor did not coin the concept called scientific management. Okay? Who coined the concept of scientific management? In 1910, Louis Brandeis, coined this term called scientific management. But then why is Taylor called the father of scientific management? See, in 1911, Taylor used this concept of scientific management in his paper, and he said what are the effective ways in which you can increase the efficiency of people working in the organization. So he provide a structured manner to this scientific management. That is why he is known as the father of scientific management. Okay, when I say scientific management or Taylorism, there are four basic things which you have to keep in mind. The first thing is, let us understand certain history about Taylor so that you will understand this concept easily and why did he come up with this theory. So Taylor was, working in a factory as a general manager, wherein he saw certain flaws in the overall management process. That is when in 1911 he came up with this scientific management of theory. He saw that there were many reasons because of which the production was not at the optimum level. So he decided to formulate a theory which would, cater to all the basic needs in case of any production institution. Now, what were the, four important categories, which you should remember whenever I say Taylor's theory of management. The first thing is identification of, reduction of production. So the first reason which Taylor gave, to make it more simple, Taylor found two reasons because of which there was reduction in the production. What were those two reasons? The first reason was soldiering. Now, when I say soldiering, what does soldiering mean? See, soldiering is nothing but, it is the process wherein the employees restrict themselves from producing maximum output. That is what soldiering is. You know, restriction by whom? By the workers of doing what? Of producing maximum output. Okay. Why was this done? During those days, wages were not paid based on skills. Okay. Wages were paid based on the number of hours a certain employee works, based on his or her presence in the factory. So, that is why people started using the method of soldiering. Let's say if a person could, produce 10 units of a product, he would use to produce 6 to 7 units and stay for longer time so as to receive more wage rather than, using the optimum skill set which he or she had. And that is what soldiering is known as. Now, this soldiering can further be classified into two types. One is internal soldiering. What do I mean by the term internal? The name itself specifies that if the person is not able to complete the task because of his inherent traits, he is incapable. Let's say he does not meet the physical requirements of the task, for example. All those traits come under internal soldiering. Now, the next classification of soldiering can be external. External soldiering का मतलब है ना कि the worker, willingly does not complete the task in the given time. Why he did not do that? As I said those days wages were given based on the number of hours you are present in the given, office or let's say factory rather than, your skill sets. So that is another reason for which soldiering was done. Now, the second reason because of which there was reduction in production was initiative and incentive based management. Those days managers were not, they were quite lazy in nature. According to Taylor, he felt that managers were quite lazy and they were not ready to carry out their task on time, and it were the workers who initiated the task. Why would they initiate the task? Because the more hours they work, the more, incentives or wages they receive. So because of this factor, the workers initiated the action, and that is why, and the managers who are to look upon them were kind of, very lazy. So who initiated the task? The laborers initiated the task. Why? Because they wanted incentive. This was other reason because of which, the lack of monitoring, ऐसे कह सकते हो, because of lack of monitoring by the managers, the production level was not at optimum level. Okay? So this is the first thing which you should keep in mind. Now that you have understood the identification of reasons of reduced production, now let us understand the assumptions which scientific management takes into consideration. Okay, what is assumption? The assumption, there were certain basic assumptions according to Taylor. What were those basic assumptions? The first basic assumption was that he said that any task should be carried out in a scientific manner. What do I mean to say in a scientific manner? Initially or in older times during 1911, people used to carry out things in a very haphazard manner. As in, there was no set rule to carry out any given task, which, as I said, hindered the overall production level. But what did Taylor suggest? He suggested that each and every task has to be done in a scientific manner, so that we come to a maximum output for certain given production. Secondly, he said that who is a good worker? He defined who is a good worker. According to Taylor, a good worker is the one who does not, decide everything on his own. ठीक है, he rather listens to his manager. ठीक है, who is a good worker? Who listens to his manager. He does not initiate the task or anything on his own. That person is known as a, good worker. And eventually Taylor, also said that, the tasks have to be, divided into people, and then we have to, come to the maximum efficiency for a given situation. Now, if we come to the third factor, that is principle. What was the principle of your Taylor's theory of or Taylorism or scientific theory? The principle, according to Taylor, was that, firstly, as I said, he said that the tasks which are given to the workers are to be carried out in a scientific way. Okay. Secondly, he said that people have to be trained. He said that every person cannot do all the tasks. People have to be trained and they have to be assigned certain tasks at which they are good. Which means the person who is good at something has to do that task only. He cannot do all the tasks which are present in the given situation. And then thirdly, he said that once you identify these both things, that is scientific method or the best method in which you can carry out certain tasks rather than, doing it in every way possible, and then eventually training the people or selecting the right people who could do the task, he said that in order to receive, in order to get the maximum output or increase the profitability of the organization, we have to club these two factors. ठीक है? So he said that we have to club these two factors so that there is a harmony within the, organization. The workers and the managers do not have a conflict of interest, as in they do not work against each other, which would eventually reduce the profit of the organization. So these were the basic principles which Taylor said we as an organization had to follow. Lastly, there was application of scientific management. Now, the best real life example of Taylorism is in case of Amazon. Now, what did Amazon do? Amazon gave, an ultrasonic bracelets to its workers. Why did he do so? Why did Amazon do so? This was firstly known as a labor saving device. Now, what did this device do? It constantly motivated and monitored the employees that whether they are doing the work on the right time, they are, placing the packages in the right bin. ठीक है, और उससे क्या होता है, whenever they did this in a right manner, the band would give them a little vibration telling that, you have reached to correct bins, and, this also monitored unnecessary motions, which means they could avoid unnecessary, task doing, and the overall work was done in a scientific manner. So I hope you understood what basics did Taylor say in case of scientific management theory. Now we'll understand the basic principles of scientific management. This is principles, okay? This is not techniques, we'll say principles. The first principle which Taylor said, he said that any task is science but not thumb of rule. When I say thumb of rule, you need to keep in mind in earlier days, any task was done in a unorganized manner. Okay? In unorganized manner. So he said that this wasted lot of energy, resources and time for the people and the management as a whole. So what did Taylor say? That we have to find a scientific way, the best possible way in which we could carry out certain tasks. Okay? Secondly, he said that there should be harmony. As I said you, there should not be any discord, that workers and managers, you know, they should work together and they should not work against each other, which would, as I said you, eventually reduce the output level and the overall growth of the organization. Thirdly, he said that there should be cooperation and not individualism, which means each and every, person should not be, thinking that he is the only one who is going to, doing things good in the good way. But, there has to be a constant cooperation. What do I mean by cooperation? That, constant interaction and between whom the worker and the manager, and they carry out the task in a cooperative manner. And finally, Taylor also said that in case of workers, the development should be carried out in each and every person. The development should not be restricted to any single person, but every person should be able to perform, his work efficiently. Everyone should be able to give maximum output. So what did Taylor do? He said that instead of giving certain tasks to a single person, he said that you have to select the correct people who can do certain particular tasks. And eventually you have to keep in mind, Taylor said that for every worker, okay, he will be supervised by 8 people. Okay, this is what Taylor said. But there has to be high amount of supervision whenever a person does certain tasks, and also there should be overall development so that each and every individual works up to his or her maximum potential. So this is what basic of scientific theory of management is. I hope you like this session. If you have any doubts, do let me know in the comment section. And if you have any queries, do reach out to us on this given number. All the best. Prepare well. Thank you.